yourselves muted unless a direct question being asked of you and or comment to be made. And if you want to make a comment outside of the board members, if you're allowed to make comment, please use the raise your hand button. So then we can have a nice little orderly discussion. And if anyone has any stray sounds or noise on their end, if they could keep that down and or again, keep themselves muted, that would be great. It would much appreciated. We're streaming live. We are recording. So take it away, Don.
Okay, Dan. I don't know where the hand is. I haven't seen it on participants chat, share screen, record, and reactions.
It's under reactions.
Under reactions, okay. Very good, just so that everybody knows. Okay, it is 6:34 p.m. on Monday, January 11, 2021. The meeting notices says 2020, but that's no problem. And at this point, I'm going to call the regular meeting to order. Under old business, we have the Dollar General Homer DG LLC application. And I guess that we can start out with that the village has received some updates since the last meeting at the end of November to the plan, some of the requests that were made at the November 30th meeting. Among those, the screening of the storage area for the rolltainers. I see that's been done, and a bollard was added at the corner of the building and a gate on that storage area, and changed the plantings from arborvitae to juniper. Are there any other changes that Dollar General that Dan or Kyle want to address?
If I could, it's Keegan Coughlin from Coughlin and Gerhardt, assisting Dollar General in their application here. At the last meeting, I recall a question that was left outstanding between whether or not a 6-foot or an 8-foot fence was appropriate, and that the applicant had indicated that we would do either one. It was really up to the village's preference whether or not the 6 or 8 foot would be appropriate. And so I think that was the last issue on the screening that I had outstanding, but Dan, Kyle, or Jason, please feel free to add on if there was anything else.
I'll just make sure the type of tree that we showed up, they're okay with it, because the other one, the deer go after more.
That's all right. We understand that portion of it. As I don't know if everybody's up to date, we received today from Tim Buell his remarks regarding the review. Tim is the engineer that the village called in to review the DG plans that were submitted. Did Keegan, did you and all the other people get a copy of those?
We did get a copy this afternoon.
Okay. There was a point in there made about the SWIP should be reviewed in a larger scope of contribution area to the water, to the runoff. And I don't know if Dan, you're going to address that, Dan Griffiths?
Yes, not an issue at all. I did speak with Tim about it. We were going through some stuff, and right now in the existing condition, there were no flood issues there, but regardless, he wants us to look at it. We're going to look at it. If we want to increase some pipes in the back area, we will, and it should not be an issue at all. We'll get it back to you as soon as possible.
Okay.
Because right now, the way it is, that whole field, if it freezes and that back low area freezes, that's a worst case scenario. And I'm talking from people who live there. When that water came in, and the guy who had the ice cream store said he never really had a problem back there. It was in the front of the store where we're putting the bioretention. So, but we're going to make the situation probably better than it was, but equal back there, because right now it has nothing. And that whole field drained into that area. And if that freezes, it was just a pond building up to sump into the houses. We're going to have underground detention now, which we put in.
Okay. Have you talked to the neighbors to the north, Mrs. Withy?
Don't believe I have.
Don, I did speak to the son, Dale, and he mentioned to me that over the years, it's flooded right up to his back edge of his house. That whole area where the parking is going to go in, which is now a depression, would fill in. And it has in the past, over the years, gone all the way past his house right out to 281. So I sort of assured him that with the retention pond and the thoroughness of this study, that it might actually get improved. But I'm glad to see that Tim suggested going further with the modeling, because it is a potential problem and it has been a big problem over the years.
Yeah, so we're addressing it aggressively, looking into it with Tim, and we will respond very soon. So Tim's concerns are addressed.
Okay. We did receive the revised traffic study updated.
I have some comments on that. I'm concerned about foot traffic. One of the things that I think is Dollar General is saying that the average amount of cars that they have there are like 30, 35 a day. And I do believe that, because I think that their customer base is one that walks, one that rides a bike. I think if their customer base had a car, they would drive to Walmart and get a better deal on what they're purchasing. So I'm really concerned about, in the traffic study, they say that the cars are going 37 to 39 miles an hour. Are people crossing 281? Is it lit? I think this is something the village that should look at, because I think there's going to be an increase of people walking, riding bikes, on skateboards, that sort of thing.
Yes, Dan Griffiths here talking again. With the PERM 1 and the PERM 233 process, DOT is very involved in any type of bike traffic, people traffic, or anything. And in the process of reviewing it, that's all part of their review process of everything for the safety of everybody in that intersection. They have gone through everything to date and have given us a PERM 1 and stage 1 and stage 2 approval on everything we've submitted to date. And, they didn't have any big concerns. It was all turned into them, and they went through everything we gave them. And that was without even having the traffic study, and we'll give that to them, but it wasn't even warranted at the time for the thresholds, but we did it anyways.
How do we know what you submitted, Dan?
Everything we submitted to them was submitted to you. Everything. And we have documentation. It's always copied Dan and everybody in the office, and it's all been in. We have transmittals, everything.
I didn't see the foot traffic part on the traffic study, but I do agree with what Paul is saying. I'm concerned that the traffic study was done on a Tuesday, December 15th, during a pandemic in the winter time. Some of the students are working remotely from home, so you don't have the regular school traffic. Go in the summertime, it's completely different. The traffic patterns will be different.
Get Gordon. Adjustment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get Gordon, who does this traffic. This is what he does for a living. I'm going to pull him on with us. Okay.
Great.
You okay with that? Gordon Stansbury, he's right up by where you guys are. I'll pull him on his cell, and we'll have him answer your questions.
Perfect. I was just concerned
Okay.
why. Yeah, I'll ask him. Perfect.
Not a problem. He's the expert on this, and we'll pull him on. Just give us a minute.
Mike, you did say that when you talked with Mrs. Withy, you had some concerns about the nearness of the fence to her side garage.
Yes, I was shocked actually when I went out there for two reasons. One is that it's very close to her garage, right up in front. It's 3 feet away. It's probably legal, right on the property line or right off the property line. But as it goes back, it still remains close. But they have a garage door there, an overhead garage door, which I never knew about before. So this project with a fence there makes it totally useless, that garage door. It's a major semi-commercial high garage door, not just a small little garage, because the business was an auto body repair place and restoration place. So for the next owners, even though that Mrs. Whitty is 90 some years old, so when it really makes an obstruction there for selling it, it's definitely devalues the property. So I was concerned about what could be done about that. And obviously, one thing is a gate in the fence, but then it's also the right of way. Now, the son, Dale, mentioned to me that there was an agreement with the landowner for years, from when this was built, like in the 60s, to go on that parking lot and enter that garage. Now that's being lost by this project if something isn't done to fix that. So I'm bringing that to your attention. That's one thing. And of course, the other things I talked about, the kind of fence and the need for a fence and the height of the fence. But the most concern is that what it does to the property and makes it that whole wing, that whole garage useless to enter. I do have pictures, but I don't know if I can figure out how to share it. It says share screen. I can give that a try. I guess I got to get on the screen. Am I still there? Dollar General.
Yeah, I do have Gordon on when you guys are ready.
Mike, you're on mute, just so you know.
I have Gordon ready when you're ready.
Mike, can we just hold off and get Gordon in and out on this, please? Thank you.
Hold on a minute, Gordon.
No problem.
Okay, right.
Ashley, you had questions for
Just
Gordon.
1 second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm getting Gordon here right now.
He said to hold on.
What's that again?
He said to hold on.
Okay.
Or is he ready?
No, he's ready for Gordon.
Okay.
They want to do Gordon right now.
All right, Gordon, go ahead.
Gordon, okay. If you want to ask him the questions direct, we have him on.
Hi, Gordon. Yes, I do have a question. I see that you did the traffic study on a Tuesday, which is probably the slowest day in Homer. I'm wondering if you could do it on a Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. My other concern is we're in the dead of winter. It's dead right now. We're also in a pandemic. And how do we know how many of those children are right now doing their school remotely? So you're missing those moms with the traffic. I just thought it was funny you did it on a Tuesday.
Well, a standard traffic study, when we look at a weekday, when we deal with the state DOT or county agencies, looking at a weekday operation for a general retail store, we'd look at the morning and evening peak hours. On a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday is considered a standard weekday for peak hour traffic, commuter traffic. Regarding your question on the COVID, that's been obviously an ongoing issue for about a little over a year now, or about a year. We've been working with the reviewing agencies, state and county, to adjust traffic volumes based on historical data that we have. For this project, we did the traffic counts in December, but we reviewed the past historical data that we had for the Burn Dairy study that I did last year. and ultimately we applied an adjustment factor of plus 20% to the morning counts to all turning movements and through movements, and plus 10% on the evening peak hour, which brought the volumes above where they were when we did the study for the burned area. So we are doing adjustments to account for the pandemic. Pedestrian volumes.
I was just going to comment that I'm in retail. I own my own business, and Mondays and Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you are not busy. It's Mondays and Fridays is when the traffic is picking up, and I'm right on Main Street in Homer, so I could definitely attest that you're not busy on a Tuesday. So I think you guys picked the slowest day to do a traffic study. The burned area, I wasn't as concerned. It's a gas station. You're going in, you're going out. You had two entrances. This is on the other side. I was trying to turn left on James Street the other day. Forget it. Too busy. Without the Dollar General there.
Let me see. Give me a second. I'm going to try to see if I have historical daily counts on that section of 281. That might be some useful information.
Perfect. And also, I have to state that it's winter, so it's a little slower. You don't have the boating traffic to go get gas and everything. And the sports teams that are, we're going to go get an ice cream, but now that's not there.
I certainly understand the question. Unfortunately, we can't wait until summer to do a traffic study. So that's why we do traffic volume adjustments. I've been doing traffic impact studies for roughly 25 years. We're forced to do them when we have to do them, based on time of year. And we make adjustments to account for, weather or time of year, or, especially in this time, the COVID pandemic, ultimately to get a solid base volume to be working off of. I'm not sure how to better
absolutely. I would just be curious to see what the numbers, I think that they're going to change drastically if you were to be out there on a Monday and Friday. In fact, if I had the time off, I would have sat across the street today and counted cars, because I'm not buying it.
I'm just working on finding the burned dairy study, because I believe we had historical count data on that one. See, the burned dairy was unfortunately, I'm not finding it quickly here. I might have gone too far back.
While we're waiting, Tim, I noticed in your report that you thought that the traffic study met your criteria and goals. Can you comment on that?
Sure. I've been involved in a lot of these. In fact, I've used the same consultant in some of my work. And what it states is that the actual trip generation rates that are coming in and out of the place are pretty minimal compared to the other traffic around. And it's happening during hours that are not the peak morning rush necessarily, or in the evening peak rush. And that's why, looking at the trip generation rates, and I know they're adjusted for the time of the year and the type of the business, I just don't see it as being the most important problem here. There's plenty of sight distance. There's a lot of activity. I know it's tough to get out. I've been there myself, trying to get out on 281 during the peak times, but most of the traffic coming in here doesn't appear to be during those times.
Tim, I don't know if you know their store hours. They're open 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. at night. That's all day.
Yeah, but who goes to a store at 8 o'clock in the morning is my point. You know, not many
I
people.
do, because I'm opening my store at 10.
Yeah, well, that's you. But I look at it as what the normal working public does. And typically during the weeks and maybe on the weekends, it's busier early, but not during the week.
I just don't think that this clientele really, yeah, they have 35 cars there because their targeted guest doesn't drive a car. Their targeted guest walks. If you go down the one on Homer Ave, there's people walking all over, kids with skateboards going across the, Homer Ave. If you could get in a car and go, I mean, if their clientele had cars, there wouldn't be one on every corner. Let's face it. You wouldn't want one on Homer Ave in less than 5 miles away from the one that we have now. They're targeting people that can't drive. And that's my point is these people are going to be walking around 281 at 8 in the morning, at 11 o'clock at night. And and it says right on the study, average speed is 39 miles per hour. So I just think that there's more to this than just cars going in and out.
Gordon has some more information on other days he just found, if he could share it with you.
Just to share with you, I found some historical traffic count data from the New York State DOT, and this is northbound, southbound traffic volumes on 281. These counts were collected on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And just to give you an example of the consistency of commuter traffic, this is the total traffic on the road. Looking at the evening peak hour between 5 to 6 p.m., the volumes on each day northbound are 505, 652, 601, 550, and southbound are 428, 379, 422. So it just shows that those 3 weekdays in the middle of the week are very consistent volumes. There's not a large variation daily.
And I just wanted to point out that DOT has approved stage 1 and stage 2 to their criteria for safety and everything with these roads. The only thing left is contractor information for bonding. Other than that, the whole technical review is done on their end.
Following up on Paula's concern about pedestrians, somebody remind me, even though I was there today, I can't recall, what's the sidewalk situation on both sides?
We're proposing.
We have some along our front. There's some that you don't have in places along that road, up and down the road. But the areas where we are, we're trying to propose some to have some. But again, it's not everywhere up and down the road. But that's what we were asked to do by DOT.
Mike, there's not that much ice to run the sidewalk. There's not that much sidewalk.
Imagery in front of me, if you'd like me to add to that.
1 second. Gordon again.
I'm looking at the aerial image right now. There are sidewalks on the west side of 281 all the way between James Street and Cayuga Street. On the west side, which is our site side, there are sidewalks on the frontage of the Speedway, and then there's a gap to the north side of our site. There's then sidewalk again. So if you're adding sidewalk on your site, then the only gap would be the auto sales and the other small building between our site and the Speedway.
Right. But they wanted us to put it in there, so we put it in with the DOT showed us.
will typically require you to put sidewalk on your parcel.
So that's what we did. We just filed what they said.
Have you guys contacted the neighbors?
Have we contacted a neighbor?
Yeah, the neighbors that live around where your store wants to go. Have you contacted them at all?
Right now, what I've been on site there personally and just walked around the site. No one else came out to ask me questions, and talked to the ice cream guy and asked him some questions early on in this about the whole project, but I didn't go knocking on their doors. I know it was early on in the project. Just kind of walked around, and no one ever really came out to answer questions.
Okay.
But there is a public meeting for that process to notify everyone within so many feet and doing a public meeting.
Good, because I've been on the planning board probably 6 years. I've never had any village residents call me personally or stop into my store, and I've been receiving that. Burn Dairy, they were completely total opposite of you guys. They were wonderful. They were so respectful. They went to the neighbors before they even came to us, asked them what kind of trees they want, what kind of fence. I don't know if you know, but Homer, we're a tight-knit community, and we are there for each other. So it kind of concerns me that you guys are that greedy that you wouldn't stop and see what the neighbors feel about it. I don't know if you know, but the girl 2 doors down just sold her house. So this is not good.
Dan?
Don, you're on mute.
Yeah, I know. Dan, you said that there's a meeting, an informational meeting. Where in your plans is that?
No, I believe what Dan meant is this actual planning board meeting.
Can you repeat that, Keegan?
Oh, what I said is I believe what Dan was referring to is the planning board meetings itself and the published public hearing.
Okay.
I'd go knock on their doors and see what they have to say.
Well,
And I'd like to see a traffic study after Dow. So where's the one for like Homer Ave? Because I'm telling you, like I went down Homer Ave this morning for an appointment that I had at 7 a.m. There's people, I mean, they're all out there waiting for the store to open. You will never, ever convince me, ever in a million years, that this isn't going to result in some type of situation on 281. You won't convince me. I don't care what I'm sorry. I know this man's been doing it for 20 years, but there's just no way. There's no way that people are going to be crossing that street, no pedestrian lines in the road, and they're not, and it's just going to be okay. I just don't believe that.
Is James Street, is there a crosswalk marked there? I don't believe there is.
No, there isn't. I run those sidewalks. There's no crosswalk.
Is that something that can be accomplished? The state, I think, gets involved in crosswalks on a highway like that. I mean, there's crosswalk marks and a traffic light with Cayuga Street, Route 90. But this is like in the middle between that and James Street. It would be good to have crosswalk maybe at James Street.
If they put that there, I'm sure you're gonna have to put a traffic light, Don or Mike.
mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming you guys know this, but as the applicant, there's nothing we can do to force Steve to put a crosswalk or anything like that. I believe it's a state road, so they kind of have the determination of whether or not a crosswalk is necessary and where and when to put them.
Okay.
I understand that as the applicant, but as the applicant, we want you to understand that this is a situation that would be what we think to be a problem. And so it's a concern. And it's pretty valid.
I agree, Paula.
Tim, do you have any other comments? We got your report today, and it was kind of lengthy to absorb in the time that we had it. I'm sure that the people who deal with this stuff all day, every day, didn't have any problems with it. But I think that maybe those of us on the planning board would like a little bit of insight on that. You don't have to go into a ton of detail, but just,
Sure. I spent quite a bit of time going through the SWIP documents and the site plans. And I think it's a little bit of a tough site because of the configuration. But I felt that a pretty decent job was done in terms of laying it out and trying to work with what they had to work with. The pedestrian issue I looked at briefly, but I didn't think it was a problem because this site is kind of remote from the population centers of the village, and 281 is kind of a commercial corridor with a lot of through traffic, I agree, but there is a crosswalk at Cayuga Street, and a sidewalk will be built across the front of this property. So my main concern was the stormwater issue, which I pretty much addressed in the report, in that it looked like the upper reaches of the watershed area contributing to the stormwater flow through the site were initially dismissed because of the farm field in back of the property tends to absorb a lot of runoff because of the Palmyra soils that are there. And my concern was that if we had a winter freeze and a spring storm with a frozen soil conditions, it could potentially disrupt and flood the adjacent properties and this property itself. I think that my recommendation was that those kind of conditions should be evaluated, not only the optimum, you know, with a prime time in the summertime when with a grass cover, the runoff from up above doesn't even get to the site, but in the wintertime or the springtime when we have frozen conditions and snow melt and spring rains, we should take a look at what happens then. And I think the project engineers will take a look at that. I don't know for sure. Dan, maybe you can address that, but it's kind of a worst case scenario, but I just indicated in my report that I'd like to see what would happen with them. The other issues, I think that in terms of I've done DOT applications like this, and the DOT calls the shots mostly on these things because it's their highway, their safety issues, their crossing issues. And if a pedestrian traffic is a concern, you folks or the residents should maybe write DOT and indicate that you have concerns over this, and maybe they can put a crosswalk in or require additional sidewalks brought up from the south end across the other properties to get to the site. So, but all the other issues I felt were pretty readily addressed by the applicant.
Tim, you did recommend that building elevation should be reviewed for signage, lighting, materials, building style, architecture.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so.
And I had trouble looking at the lighting plan. I'm sorry, I'm an old guy with bad eyes, but the drawing, Dan, was the lighting plan. You showed the intensities, but it was hard to figure out where the fixtures actually were. And I asked that you kind of highlight those and emphasize them so that the village board members would know how many lights, what type, and where they were.
We could do that.
Yeah, it was tough to tell from the plan.
So what I'm looking at here from what you have, give us till Friday. We'll have everything back into you. Worst case, the end of the day, Friday, we'll have every response into you. And then if you're allowed to talk to me, I'll go through it. But I believe we're going to have everything addressed in this letter.
As far all the points, even the stormwater and the lighting
Yes,
and all the other stuff. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Architecture is not my end, but as far as civil, stormwater, everything else that you and
Do you present a elevation drawing of the proposed store? Is that on record someplace? Because I haven't seen it.
They'll get them that. Yeah, I believe it's been submitted. If not, we'll get I'm 90% sure it was submitted to your code. Definitely.
No,
Okay.
I know it was.
I think in the original set of plans, the large plans have elevations of all the sides and perspective.
I didn't get that, Mike. So
Okay.
sorry.
Kyle could put it up. Is it okay? Kyle could show. We'll just get it to him. Okay, we'll get it to you.
Yeah, you should see it. But I did raise last time that, and others did too, that the facade was not appropriate for a village of Homer, and we were looking for an enhancement with adding a pediment or something. Do you guys get involved in that at all?
They're working with the architect with that, and they will be in touch with you for sure.
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you.
But as far as all of Tim's comments here outside of architecture, I plan on having everything back to Tim quickly, resolving any discrepancies we might have with each other, and then go from there.
Yeah, I was talking about the architecture and the style. I was concerned that you might have a branding issue, that the building has to be as it is originally presented, except for minor modifications. But I see that the one on Homer Ave is actually in a reuse of a mall and shopping mall, and that has a pediment right over the door. So, and I also noticed the one in Dryden, they seem to all have different looks to them. So I don't see an impediment in terms of branding, that a building has to look a particular way. And getting a pediment on it and enhancing the facade would be look favorably upon.
Okay.
We're going to, Mike, we are actually working with the architect right now. I should probably have something within the next couple of days. I think you'll definitely like the look of it. So once I get it done, I'll get it over to everybody as well as to Tim for them to take a look at.
Is it similar to the one in Ithaca or Dryden? Because Ithaca actually is nice. Dryden is nice. Okay.
I'm not really familiar with those two stores. It looks like a store that we're building right now in Rome.
Question for you regarding water. You've worked with the village drainage system back in the 80s, as I recall, when you worked for John McNeil.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. Yeah.
And that drainage ran between the vacant gas station and Pizza and More, ran back lots into Bartlett Ave.
Yep.
And some places it's above ground, other places it's underground, and it ends up being in the runs in back of some of the houses on Center Street, ends up over on Copeland Avenue, and then somehow gets by the Elks Club, I think, down into the river.
Yep.
Do you foresee that system being able to handle more impervious material, more impervious surface, and more runoff?
Yeah, what happens is these folks are required to keep the peak discharges to at or below what is currently coming off the site. My concern is early on that number from the standard studies is achievable by what they've shown us. Because I was concerned about those things, I asked them to look at what would be the worst case scenario if that field up behind was not a hayland or a grass, but a row crops, or if we had frozen conditions. They've indicated tonight here that they're going to address those things and look at if any changes are made, but they are only responsible for keeping what's there now from getting any worse. And from what they're starting, I think they're going to be able to do that. But I know the situation as it gets down into the village, sometimes you have surface pockets of water that rise up during storm events, especially in the spring. In some of these yards, I've seen it down Cayuga Street. And I think that should not be exacerbated by this if they keep everything in check on their own site. They have room up above behind them to hold waters back. And that's what could happen potentially with this situation. But it's being addressed, and I don't think it's going to be a downstream problem if they correct what's on their own site and hold it back.
I'm not sure that, I'm looking at the site plan, I didn't see where there was any property that where they could do anything behind the store. Looked like they're kind of leveraging that whole property into like 20 feet.
There is a natural, if you look at my supplemental attachments, there's a natural depression or almost like a little mini pond back there. It's about 3/4 of an acre in size that historically has acted as kind of a sink for extra runoff. They are going to actually put catch basins in to get that into the ground quicker than what would normally happen if it were frozen. With the site, but my concern was if they filled some of that hole, that might reduce the volume available for storage in it. But I think what's there now naturally is going to be maintained because there's plenty of it left. So I don't think it's going to disrupt downstream properties at all, based on what I've seen so far. But I want the extreme condition addressed before I give it an okay.
That property behind this particular site, I think, is owned by Speedway.
I don't know if that's the case now or not. I know Speedway owns across the street in the old gas station, but I don't know if they I think bought a portion of it back behind their own store, but I don't know if they own the whole field.
My recollection was that because you did the analysis for the village when they first built the
Express Mart. Yep.
And as I recall, Express Mart owned all the way to behind Corey's Diner.
I don't know. It should be in the tax records. I didn't see that actually. So.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We've beaten that one up enough, I think. And Dan, I think Dan said that or maybe Kyle, you're going to have your your architectural people working on this project also.
Yeah, it's an architect out of Chicago that does it for Capital Growth. They'll, as Jason said, they're developing the elevations and he will get it over to you.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to see those too, Dan, if I could. So.
Yep, we'll get them to everybody for sure.
Okay. Dan, do you have email contacts for everybody? Or are you just going to run everything through the village clerk and have the clerk's office disseminate that?
However you want to do it. If, I gave, right now the clerk has it how we give it to them. If you want to give me an email list, we'll be consistent. Just email me what you guys want for the distribution and we will do it.
Okay, we'll work on that. I want to talk with the clerk and be sure that we're doing things, disseminating things the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, because we gave it into them and they said they were distributing everything to you guys, and that's the way it was working initially here.
Right.
That's the way it has been. So everybody has gotten everything.
Okay, and then
large set of plans to Tim I offered, but just didn't get it coordinated to get them to him. If he still wants them, happy to get them up there.
Okay.
Yeah, I would if you can. So that's good.
You got it.
Okay. I think we've gone through the questions that we had.
Don, you want to get back to the fence?
Yes, please. Yes. I'm sorry.
Let me try my luck with this sharing the screen here. I've never done it before. It says share screen, and here's am I sharing the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yep, you are.
Wow, it's a first for the old guy. So that's the corner of the garage. I see one picture. I don't see a whole album here. See it? So I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. So that's my car that's in the driveway of the proposed project. And the fence would start right here and cover the car. And as you can see, if the cars coming out, especially from the parking lot at night, would have headlights facing at us as the viewers. And that happens to be their dining room and kitchen. So one thing is a visual barrier, and the other one is to keep these headlights, and as they come out, to shine right in their house. So I would think that 6 feet is probably about here. Does my pointer show up?
Yes.
Yep.
6 feet is probably right about here, and 7 is around here. 8 becomes well, this is a 7-foot door. So it'd be up to here, right about here. 8 feet is really tall. So 7 feet is probably, as a height factor, is one thing. I was concerned about the board and batten, the board on board as which lets air go through it on a diagonal. Would it block out the light? And I looked at some online, and I think they actually would. They're attractive on both sides, so that's okay. But now comes the concern here. So by the way, from this corner, the fence is 3 feet away, which meets, I think, code. So here, it would be 3 feet over here, which is very close. But look what happens when it goes back here. It misses that pad. So maybe it's 4 feet away from that, or 5, I can't tell. And it goes right back to the property, on the property line, back to the corner of their existing fence. But now if you look at this garage door, that garage door is there, major garage door to what used to be a body shop in back. And you couldn't use that door anymore if there's a fence in front of it. So I don't know if the developer is aware of that, wasn't concerned about that. It was a news flash to me. I did speak to the son of the owner and the owner. They weren't, of course, happy about that. I asked them why, this is Dale. He didn't, if he heard from anybody, and he hadn't, he saw it only in the paper. And I was very surprised to learn, having been on this board for 20, 30 years, that one doesn't get notification. And Tanya told me that it was only ZBA requirements to notify the adjoining property owners. So as Ashley mentioned, Burn Dairy went to all those neighbors back there to calm them down and ask what their concerns were. This wasn't done in this case. So I don't know. We're gonna to hear from, I'm very concerned about ruining somebody's property like this. Making
Mike,
it totally,
thank you so much for doing that.
making it totally useless.
Yeah,
So I would think that one thing is, first of all, to put a gate in that fence so that you can get in there. And of course, then the other part is, how do you get in there? So this owner from 1965 or whenever this was built had an oral agreement with the owner of the property here to drive on their land to get into the garage. Perhaps the current developer can do the same thing and make an agreement, or we can insist that they have an agreement so that this property is not ruined by this fence. Now, legally, it might be possible to just do what you're doing, putting in a fence across there and screwing basically these people, devaluating their property, or you can find some accommodation that will work. Any other, here's some other pictures looking back at that space. This is where the cars will be parked. There'll be another big fence running all the way back here behind 2 houses. And the parking lot will be in here where the trucks come in and back out and all that stuff. So my recommendation is 7 feet, fence like you've agreed to. So this fence would be coming out towards us like this. But something has to be done to make this property whole again.
Mike, I appreciate you going and doing that. I was wondering, Dollar General, is there any compensation for the neighbors? I'm not in real estate, but you can tell that their value of their property just went down if you're going next door. Anybody?
I'm trying to get my screen back.
Mike, can you go to the first picture again? I'm just curious. When you show the picture and there's only like 3 feet between like their garage from their driveway and that fence. So like during snow removal, where will they put their snow?
I think they can answer that, I guess.
Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I guess just when you showed that, I just thought to myself, I know my driveway, like, I don't understand where you would be able to put it all, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's much space is what I'm saying.
Whose driveway? The owners here, what they would do?
Yeah, the owners, like when you said, oh, this is, the fence will be right here.
Yeah, right. I don't know what they do with it now, but they would have to keep it in their pad over here in their driveway, the double wide driveway, or pull it out. There's no way to put it in there because that fence is right up against their property line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no room for anything.
Mhm.
Well, Mike, you brought up some points. I guess at this point, there is no response from the applicants to your questions. In a sense, they did not create the situation. But at the same time, a good neighbor would, I would think, try to make some kind of an accommodation.
I have a question. Is there any kind of easement recorded or anything? Because probably the current property owner has been plowing or clearing. If there's an easement there, they have to honor it. But if there's not, then it's, like you say, it's a good neighbor time thing. So.
Yeah, I have not looked at it, Tim. I knew Ellis Withy and his wife going back to, I don't know, 30 years. Yep. That big overhead door was where he kept his motor home after he doing body work.
There isn't I'm sorry to interrupt. There isn't there's no easement on the title report there for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't expect that there was, and I guess if he had used it and maintained it, whatever, over a long period of time, he could go to court, or his wife could go to court, and they could claim adverse possession or some kind of accommodation. I don't think that that's in the cards for them to do. She's 90 some years old. I guess the best that they could hope for is that because the property is zone B2, that somebody will come along and buy their house and the one to the north of it and put another store in, maybe a super Dollar Tree or something. I don't know.
That's usually how they go, Don. Dollar Bazaar, Dollar General, $1 Tree, whatever.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, could you get me that gentleman's contact information and I could reach out to him and talk about this issue with them?
I don't have his information, but I believe Mike does.
Yeah, I will get it. I have it here. I have to go in another room and get it.
Yeah, I definitely think you guys need to contact the neighbor who's directly next door. I certainly wouldn't be happy. There goes my property value. You guys should know about investments.
And let's see, Tim, you had made some comment about the short environmental form, had things checked wrong.
Yeah, the two locations. One, I think the actual area of disturbance is more than an acre, which impacts the stormwater procedures with the DEC. But the other thing they said, and I don't think the Griffiths Engineering did the form, I think it was the applicant that did it. But they said that everything was infiltrated and there would be no discharge to the DOT culvert crossing the road and going down through the village, and that's not the case, obviously. So I thought that they should not only correct that, but do the online mapper tool that has the other issues about the wetlands and wildlife and historic preservation stuff. So basically, I think that's a pretty simple fix, just to go through and redo that and correct the two sections and do the online version of the report rather than a static one that was submitted.
Yeah, we do have that form, and we did go through those mappers, that we just didn't include it, but we'll do it so it's all together for you. But that has been done. But we will revise the couple comments that you had and resubmit.
I have the contact information for the owners north of the property. It's Dale and I guess Witty, somebody else help me with the spelling. What, W-H-I-T-N-E-Y?
W-I-T-H-E-Y.
Right. And his number is 749.
Mike, you might not want to just, we're live right now, so you might not want to give his phone number.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Dante.
Good,
yeah.
Good point.
I will I will text it to somebody and they can send it on to you, Dan.
Just email it to me, Mike.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
By the way, I do have one more thing too. While I was thinking about this, about that culvert that's under the road there. And you're talking about, is this water is all supposed to be retained on the property. So it's not going to go in that culvert unless it's overflowing. What's the case there?
Maybe Dan can address that, but that's the way it looks to me, that there's an outlet structure that ties to that culvert, and that it would probably be an extreme storm event, not normally that way. So. Dan?
We'll double check into that. I know in the front DOT had some of their own issues. Everything on site, we were infiltrating. There was a pipe that was already present there. We were trying to continue that DOT was using. So I'll go over that with you, Tim. Once we get back into this, we'll show you everything that's going on there.
Sure.
Because they had problems that were above and beyond the problems. That whole area had a problem before we got to it. So
yeah, it looked like there was a head wall there and a connection to the outlet pipe, but
right.
I know you're trying to infiltrate it, but it looked like there was an overflow.
Yeah, there's another. I'll get with you on that for sure.
Dan, did we discuss in the past about maintenance of that retention pond?
Yep, that's all in part of the SWIP. In the SWIP documents, there'll be a maintenance manual.
Man, you just have to wear a mask to make sure you're 6 feet.
Okay, thanks.
We got another hearing going on.
So what I'll do is, it's in part of the manual. There is a maintenance in the manual that'll talk about the maintenance and all the requirements per the DEC requirements.
Okay, and who will be responsible for that? Will it be Dollar General or will it be Stephen Camp LLC or whatever it is?
It's usually the LLC owner, Dollar General, unless there's an association if you're doing a subdivision with that. But that will all be addressed during it. You'll see notice of termination, notice of intents, pre-construction meetings. We'll go all through that stuff for sure.
Okay. I spoke with,
They'll take us out of order, so you're good.
Oh, okay.
yeah, Kevin Begini at Cortland County Planning. The planning director for Cortland County retired, and he's now vacationing in Florida for a while. So there is a planner there. Kevin is now taking over and going to be the director of planning, probably ease into it sometime throughout this, during this coming year. And at this point, he said that this whole package is going to be the site plan and the subdivision are going to be on the February County Planning Board agenda, which I believe is the third Thursday in February.
Mr. Chairman, I also talked to Kevin today, and it's the third Wednesday. It's on the 17th.
Third Wednesday, okay.
And
I wasn't sure what date they meant.
And if I could ask a question, Chairman?
Sure.
Are we positive that the county has everything they need from the village's end to do their review? Because I know that at the last meeting, it was indicated by the village that the county had been provided everything for both the site plan and the subdivision. And then that turned out not to be the case. So if there's anything at all that the village needs from the applicant in order to ensure that that February 17th meeting is not missed from an agenda item, we'd appreciate kind of as soon of notice as possible so that we can avoid that confusion again going forward.
And
Sure,
Dennis and I can, sorry, just jump in here, Don. This is Dan at the office. Dan and I can go back over every single item, or Kyle, whoever wants to do it. As far as I know, everything was emailed and snail mailed both to the county, all documents. So if they are still missing something, we'll be happy to get to them post haste.
Great. Thanks, Dan.
Okay. I think that covers everything we were going to do tonight. We have another item on the agenda that we want to get to.
Can I ask one more question, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Sorry. With respect to that meeting being on the 17th for the county. My understanding is that your meeting would be the week prior.
Yes, well, we haven't set that yet, but that's our intention, is to have established the meeting schedule for the year being the
Okay.
second Monday of the month.
And I guess we would respectfully ask that, given that the delay in getting things on the county's agenda was not necessarily on the applicant's fault there, if we could ask for some sort of meeting to be had with this planning board after the county's meeting, so that we actually have some things to work off of as a kind of an applicant and a board. And then hopefully all the concerns from the county can be addressed at that meeting and move forward. We kind of respectfully make that request of the planning board.
We'll take a look and see what the schedule is. We don't get anything back from, they meet the 17th. Usually they don't have their paperwork completed for 2 or 3 days after that. We might get it the 22nd or 23rd, be my guess. We can take a look at and see if we can get people together to meet late that week, or March 1st instead of March 8th. We'll see what we can do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
I have one other request, that along with those elevation drawings that are coming, can we get a drawing or picture of the fence? Because it's such a big deal for the public and for the neighbor and everybody, the customers, that it should be a nice fence, and a drawing showing the details would be nice to get.
Mike and Don, I also think we need to have the village contact DOT with our concerns with the foot traffic and the traffic itself right there before we go any further.
Okay, Dan, Egner, can we make that happen?
We can make that happen. As far as an answer back from DOT regarding that particular issue, that may be hard pressed. I know the DOT is looking at a number of issues along 281. This could be on their agenda as well. But a timely submission of an answer or a solution may not work in this time frame.
Okay, well,
That's okay.
Perhaps we can get you guys the contact information of the individuals who specifically reviewed our Perm 33 application, since they've taken a look at the specific safety concerns with our proposed project, and that might help. Who knows?
Sure.
I co-sign what the clerk said with DOT, though.
Sure, let's try that. No worries.
okay, then Ashley, will you email your questions to Dan?
Absolutely, Don. And I don't think we should make a special meeting. I think they can wait for our scheduled meeting. Just.
Okay, we'll discuss that when we get further down the line here. We'll see how things are going. But if any other board members.
Did you email Dan Egner my questions? Perfect.
Well, if you will email Dan the specific question you have, then he can get that to the state DOT people. And if anybody else has questions regarding the traffic and foot traffic, get them to Dan. Today's Monday, within the next 2 days, let's say, so that he can get that done in a timely manner.
You got it.
Okay, are we ready to move on to new business? Thank you all for attending.
Okay, you don't need me anymore, correct?
Hang out and listen to us wander around in Neverland.
I just want to say goodnight to Joan and tell her to say hello to Fast Jack for me. So, okay?
Fast Jack, okay.
Fast Jack. He's like me, not so fast anymore. So,
Good night, Tim.
good night. See ya.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
go
you,
ahead,
Keith.
Kyle.
Keegan, for the takeaways regarding the other fence height and the request for details of those fence. Just
Yeah,
so that's
yeah, if I can summarize what I think kind of the conclusion one is, Mike, I think it was your opinion, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but you were of the opinion that a 7-foot fence was appropriate. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Can you say that again, Keegan? I missed it.
Yeah, no problem. So what I had said was, I think the conclusion that it was Mike's opinion was that the 7-foot fence would be appropriate. And then that the applicant's going to contact the neighbor to kind of discuss the garage issue. We're going to get you guys the elevations, and there was one other part that came hand in hand with the elevations. Oh, the designs of the building, which should be incorporated in the elevations. And then we're going to update the SWIP and the seeker. And was there anything else as an outstanding item?
I don't think there is, but
okay.
Somebody with a clearer mind might know.
And I'll go back through the meeting once it's posted. And Joan, I just wanted to say great job on those minutes last time. I'm sure that wasn't an easy task to do. So I'm sure the board appreciates it, but so did the applicants. So thank you.
Well, you're most welcome.
Thanks again. Good night.
Take care, everybody.
Okay. Okay. We're ready to go to item 2, or the second item, new business. Item 1, Paul Gower and Stephanie Kozlowski. Stephanie is SMK, I believe.
That is correct.
Okay. And you have an application for change of use for property at 8 North Main Street, Homer, New York. That's next door to her current location for her store. And if Stephanie would like to address the board, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
We're fine.
Yes, I'm okay.
Yes, yes. It was just, I've been on a couple Zooms and it's SMK and it just goes quick. And then, so when I signed in, that was just what was already there. And then I was like, nobody knows who I am. I was like,
You can change that, you know.
I know, but I didn't think of it once I started. And then once it was already in, it was like, I don't know how to go back.
Okay, Stephanie, and we got Kevin McMahon on also, and I just went through the stuff, and I had noticed that there is no survey map or anything of the property, and I know that we're looking at just a use change.
Yes.
A lot of times it's helpful to everybody to picture what we're looking at. But if you want to, at least initially, go through, tell us what you're doing. And I don't know if everybody knows what you're doing, but I know where you are, and I'm keeping watch of what you do.
Yeah, so I currently have, I have the property that I rent at 6 North Main Street where I do the acupuncture. And so what I would like to do is with 8 North Main Street is move the acupuncture office over to the main floor, because that is zoned commercial. It was used residential, but I think I would be able to turn it over and make it into my office space.
Okay.
What door would you using? The front door?
I don't think so, because the front door, you walk in, it's a small space. It has a staircase that goes right up. And so I might be using the side door that comes in off the porch. But of course, once I have that looked at for commercial zoning, just to make sure that that works. Oh, sorry, it's gonna happen. Just to make sure that that works out fine. But I think I would have it looked at first. Probably not the front door though, because like I said, when you walk in, it goes right up a staircase, and then there's like a short turn to the door on the side, and I don't know how easy that would be. If that helps.
And you're gonna live upstairs, or you're gonna rent upstairs?
I'm going to rent upstairs.
Rent it out to people.
Yes, I'm gonna rent it out.
How many units are up there?
It's just one.
So you're gonna divide off your office space with the rental space upstairs.
Yes, it's already divided. Paul Gower, when he owned it, he lived upstairs and he rented the downstairs. So it was already a 2-unit.
Steph, is the parking out back?
I would probably, there's a garage parking. There's garage parking out back, but there wouldn't be enough for like actual parking lot.
Okay.
But I don't have, I could put and I usually park on the street. I don't have parking now. I
Sure.
usually park in front of 8 North Main Street. So I would be able to park back there, which would take one less car off the road. When I rent this space, I will also offer a garage space to the person renting. So that would help. Oh, I think I froze. Oh, did you hear me?
Yes, I did. Yes, I know you're good. You're good. I was just curious. Perfect. I can say that Steph's been a previous tenant of mine. She cares about the community and I think it's going to be fine.
That property is zoned commercial and residential, or straight commercial or residential? How's it zoned?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How is the property zoned now?
I believe it is, well, it's zoned, I think it's commercial and residential. I think it's mixed use.
If you'll bear with me, I lost everybody but Stephanie. And I'm trying to there we go. Okay,
Sorry.
Dante, I got
froze for a second.
a survey map from Dante, but I haven't been able to print it out. And I don't know if I can share it on screen. But Kevin, you looked at this, Kevin McMahon. Are you with us, Kevin? Well, we seem to have lost Kevin.
There he is.
Okay.
Whoop.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You got Verizon?
No, I have AT&T.
Okay, because the Verizon ad was, can you hear me now?
Oh, shoot, Don. So anyway, Stephanie, thank you for your application. A couple of points that I just want to make as code officer. The property is actually split across the rear half of it, so that the rear half of the house is in residential zone district. The front half is in the central business district. So that having been said, it makes sense that she could operate a business there in the front. However, the one major point that I do want to make to Stephanie is a change of use like this will require a building permit. And along with the building permit, when we introduce a new business into property that's not formally been a business, we have to make sure that we're making accommodations for ADA accessibility.
Right.
So basically, in applying to, if the board approves the site plan review of whatever you're doing, the next step would be to apply for a building permit and then provide me with drawings showing me where we've got this ADA accessibility for people getting in and out, as well as a restroom and those sorts of things.
Right.
Kevin, she's moving right next door, so I don't think it's going to change too much. I do understand she needs to get a building permit, but traffic wise, you only have 1 to 2 people in there at a time.
Right.
It's not the traffic thing, Ashley. It has to do with the ADA accessibility of the building for customers.
Kevin, help me understand. Every business needs to have accessibility, ADA accessibility?
When I'm creating a new business, such as what we're doing here, I'm going into a residential property, for instance, and I'm establishing a new retail business of sorts. I have to be able to meet ADA compatibility and accessibility.
So Kevin, even though it's an existing business and it's in a commercial, it's already zoned commercial. I guess I'm confused.
The fact that it's zoned commercial is the reason that she can come for a site plan review in front of you people rather than go to ZBA. That has nothing to do with the fact that in a business, I've got to have ADA accessibility into a structure when it becomes a business, whether it's a remodel of an existing structure or the construction of a new one. I've got to comply with ADA rules.
Kevin, I now have the map that, the survey map Dante kindly sent me. Have you looked at the survey map for this parcel?
It's been a while, Don, I'll admit, but I know that in the GIS map for the county there, it shows where the parcel is two different zone districts on the same survey.
Right. It looks, for whatever reason, I don't know where the zone is, but there's a, looks like a large parcel, large area behind the house and the garage. A vacant land. Is that, let's see, like 70 by 70, roughly. Maybe even bigger. I don't know how to share that, but anyway, you do, Stephanie, you have there's a right of way. You can't close that. You can't block that driveway. Am I correct?
Right.
Kevin, can she go for a variance since it's gonna mess with historical, I mean, like the preservation?
No, because we don't have an actual historical district to begin with. And to end with, there's no variances that are given for relieving people from doing ADA accessibility. That's a federal rule.
Actually, we do have a historical district, but it's not a historical zoning district. So we don't have historical zoning. So it's a historical district, but it doesn't qualify as a zoning district. So you wouldn't be able, I don't believe you'd be able to get those, for a variance on that, those requirements. So you'd have to, if from what Kevin was saying, the doors have to be what, 3 feet wide, Kevin?
Well, that's one of the items. You have to have, approaches as far as ramps and that sort of thing. Right. Handicap accessible restroom. So this all comes from the change of use. This has nothing to do with the zone district or historical or anything like that. This is strictly a building code issue.
Stephanie, were you aware of this requirement and the?
Yeah, and I'm not terribly worried about it. The bathroom that's there is very large. If I can use that side porch as the front entrance, I believe that door has been widened already back when they did, who was it that used to own it? I remember Paul was telling me like a Durkee family used to own it. Yes, and so the door was widened because they put a lot of his medical equipment in there. Okay. And so that door itself is already widened. They took out a lot of walls in that downstairs area. So it would be more, for me, it would be more putting up walls than it would be taking down walls. So I haven't been terribly concerned about it because I think that it's absolutely cool.
Dante, you're on here. My question is, do we have to be concerned about the interior layout in allowing a use change?
I guess I would ask, what do you mean by use change?
I don't know. What kind of concern?
Well, going from a residential, that first floor is a
Oh,
residential.
I'm frozen. Hold on.
Because it's zoned in the central business district, it's an allowed use to have a store, an acupuncture studio. I don't really know what, I guess studio, not sure what it's called, but an acupuncture place. So,
Okay. Okay, but we don't have to get involved with as far as square footage, sizes, or anything like that.
No, I mean, it is an allowed use under the central business district zoning regulations.
Okay.
I mean, what's your concern? Just in general?
Just in general, I don't know. When we had the property over on the west side, that they were going to do essential oils, and it turned out that it was more than essential oils. There was some floor plans that showed what was happening, and we had the same thing with the owner occupation on Clinton Street where the massage therapist went in.
Yeah, those are specific to the home occupation, because the code is concerned about sort of the ratio between habitable dwelling space and retail space.
Okay.
Pull up the GIS maps, because I was a little curious when Kevin said it had two different zoning classifications, and he's exactly right. The front kind of maybe 2/3 of the building, sort of all look like it's zoned central business district. And then the back maybe third it is in the R2 district. But yeah, no, I mean, this is an allowed use. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah. No, I just.
I lost my train of thought there.
Well, that happens after a meeting like we had.
Usually to us old people.
Nah, it happens to attorneys all the time. So given that, I don't have any other questions. Does anybody else on the board have a question?
No questions at all. I think it's great that she got her own place.
Looks good to me.
Okay.
Thank you, Ashley.
Works for me.
Well, Dick, you're going to need it more than anybody else.
Do you think so? Very possible.
Well, in case you didn't hear, Stephanie, Dick is going to have a hip replacement. I'm just trying to drum up business for you. Yeah. Okay, so next thing we got to do is, do we have to do a seeker short form?
No, well, you do need to make a determination under seeker, but this is a type 2 action pretty definitively. So I would recommend the board, if they agree with my determination, classify it as a type 2 action, which doesn't require any EAF or any other further environmental action.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I second it.
Dick makes a motion. Mike Pollock seconds to declare it an unlisted action.
Yeah, you might want to appoint yourself lead agency under seeker, and then.
Oh, okay. Let's do
specify that. My apologies.
All right. So, Dick, would you make the motion for us to be lead agency?
I make the motion and make us lead agency, yes.
Michael?
I second that. I wish we could combine the two things in one motion, but I guess Joan will be just happier the way it is.
Dante? Why do you need to declare yourself lead agency if it's a type 2 action? You don't have to do the short form.
Well, to give them authority to make that determination. I don't know if you necessarily do, Joan, but it sounds like a kind of a belt and suspenders thing. How could they make the determination if they're not the agency under seeker?
Oh, they do it on the board. Okay.
All in favor? Mike?
Aye.
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 All in favor? Motion carried. Next motion, entertain a motion to declare an unlisted action.
Oh, I put it into one.
Type 2 action.
Type 2 action, I'm sorry, okay. Joan put it all in one?
I did.
All right.
I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Saves paper.
And Joan doesn't get paid by the word either, you know that. All right, so all in favor of approving the application?
You need a motion first.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
You want to approve the site plan as requested?
Yes. Whoever moves it.
I so move it.
I'll second it.
Ashley, you're quiet there. You're muted.
Because I want this business to come into town. That's good. This is good.
She's in cahoots, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is, if I can find the agenda here. Approve the minutes of the November 30th meeting.
They are great. I so move.
I second.
All the seconds? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All carried with all in favor. Now, let's go to next schedule.
Stephanie's all set, right? She doesn't have to stay on, right?
Yeah, she can leave.
Okay.
You don't have to. We don't have to
Nice to
listen.
see you.
Get to stay on or I get to go?
You can
You
stay or
get to
you can
go.
go.
You get to go.
Okay, I'll go. Thank you guys.
Bye, Steph.
Aye.
Bye. Good night.
Next is confirming the meeting date schedule and the next meeting date. In the past, we have used the second Monday of the month as our regularly scheduled meeting date. Anybody want to change that?
No,
Under pain of, under penalty of pain.
no.
Don, is this regarding the Dollar General? Because they're not meeting with the county, or is this for
No,
new
no.
business?
No, we're just saying that our regularly scheduled meeting
Right.
for the rest of the year would be the second Monday, so that people can, when they know that you don't schedule a dentist appointment, having a baby, or anything else on the second Monday of the month. And I haven't seen a smile on Hal since his picture came up on the screen. So and we can't be.
Is that a smile?
No, I have not seen one from him.
Second Monday is good.
Usually the second Monday is great for me. I'm at a buying show Monday the 11th. Oh, no, wait. Oh, was it the 8th?
We're talking about February the 8th.
I'm on the wrong month. Hold on, just give me a second.
6:30 p.m.
Yep, I'm still at a buying show Monday the 8th. I think it'll be done by 6.
Well,
Okay.
if we don't have anything, we won't be able to do Dollar General on the 8th of February anyway.
Perfect. And I can always call in if I'm in the car. So-
Right.
I'm sorry, so what's our agenda for the 8th?
We don't have an agenda for February 8th at this point.
When is the county coming in, the report?
You're just setting your meeting date for the year.
We're just setting the meeting dates the second Monday of the month.
Sounds good to me.
And so tentatively, if something were to come in, we would have a meeting on the 8th of February, but we don't have anything coming in that I know of. And unless Kevin McMahon pulls something out of the hat that he wants us to look at, we're just going to be,
Don,
yes.
you can schedule a special meeting anytime that your board agrees to it. The only thing is, when you hold a special meeting, the only business you can conduct is that for which the special meeting has been set.
Right.
Right. Well, county is not going to meet until 17th of February. So we aren't going to be having to meet until March, late February, early March, if we so choose.
Right.
And maybe by then Dick will be walking around.
Or you could hold your February 8th meeting, February 22nd.
Except that we don't have any agenda.
No, I meant a special meeting for Dollar General only.
Well, it doesn't really give us much time to get the stuff back from county planning to review.
Right,
I
the
say we
8th,
do March
March,
without general.
March 8th sounds fine to me, that enough time between the county report coming in and
Right.
not holding anything up, and the 8th is what we should figure on, I think.
I agree. I don't think that we have to rearrange our lives for Dollar General. They haven't even so much as knocked on the door to a neighbor. And I'm not gonna, no. I'm
Absolutely.
for March 8th.
Don't put that in the minutes, Joan.
It's already been recorded and streamed.
Well,
That's okay.
I'm good for March 8th.
Well,
What you're doing first is setting your meetings for the whole year, the second Monday of every month at 6:30. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
You need a motion and a
Yes, I moved that so we can go to sleep.
I second it.
All the
Okay,
seconds?
you need a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Now you can agree to whatever you want for the next one. Or you're just gonna do March 8th?
We'll just do March 8th as a meeting. If something comes up, we'll meet. If it doesn't come up, we won't have a meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
And it's still getting stared down by Hal. I'm going to turn his picture over.
He's not even blinking.
That is a picture. That's a photo.
All right. Okay, anything else? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion, we adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Who's the second, Mike?
No, I'm not gonna do all the emotions here. What's wrong with Ashley?
I'll make a motion.
The motion was made by Dick Hemmings.
And I'll second that.
Second by Ashley.